The United States military issued an official statement saying they recovered a flying disc. Not a witness, not a headline. The military. Officially. Then they took it back. Same day. And for almost 50 years, that was the story. Then a third explanation appeared. Something entirely different. Something that had apparently been classified the whole time. 3 explanations, 1 event, and the part that nobody can fully agree on is not what landed in New Mexico. It is why the story kept changing, and what that pattern actually means. Here's what they didn't tell you about Roswell. July 8, 1947, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield releases an official statement to the press. It says the 509th Bomb Group has recovered a flying disc. Those are the exact words, authorized by the base, distributed to news agencies, running on radio stations across the country within hours. Now here is the problem. Press releases do not happen by accident. A public information officer at a military installation does not issue statements without authorization from the chain of command. Someone approved that language before it went out. Pause for a second. The 509th Bomb Group was not a routine unit. This was the most elite nuclear-capable air group in the United States military. The same group that dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki 2 years earlier. High clearance, experienced, sophisticated, and they said flying disc. Either that statement was an authorized disclosure, or it was a mistake made by one of the most technically advanced military units in the world. Both explanations make sense, but not at the same time, and this is where it gets interesting. Within hours, Brigadier General Roger Ramey held a press conference in Fort Worth. Debris on the floor, Ramey at the podium. The flying disc was now a weather balloon and a radar reflector, a simple misidentification, corrected at the highest level of regional command. The same day it was issued. The press accepted it. The story moved off the front pages, but here's where it starts to feel strange. Weather balloons were not new in 1947. Military personnel at an Air Force base knew what they looked like. The 509th Bomb Group, with its level of clearance and experience, was not a unit that typically confuses routine meteorological equipment for something worth issuing a press release about. So, was this just a mistake, or something corrected too quickly? You can land on either side, and that is exactly the problem. Now look at this. There's a photograph taken in Ramey's office that afternoon. Ramey holding debris, a document in his other hand. Researchers have spent decades trying to read that document. Some claim it references victims and a disc. The Air Force says it is unreadable and the interpretations are speculative. Both sides are on the record. Neither has won. That photograph exists. The document is real. What it says is genuinely contested after 75 years of examination. And here's what that tells you. There's less clarity in this case than most people assume. Not because of conspiracy, because the documentary record is incomplete in ways that have never been resolved, but the photograph is not the most important part of this story. What matters is what happened next. For nearly 50 years, the weather balloon explanation held. It was the official account. Textbooks moved on. The story was filed under simple mistakes, case closed, and then in 1994, the Air Force released a new report. The actual explanation, they said, was Project Mogul, a classified program using high-altitude balloon arrays with acoustic sensors to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. Large balloon trains, unusual equipment, classified at the time of the Roswell Incident. The weather balloon description had been close enough to accurate, but incomplete, because disclosing Project Mogul in 1947 would have compromised an active intelligence operation. Now think about that. The complete explanation was available inside government records for nearly 50 years. The people who knew it watched the weather balloon story generate persistent public confusion and debate. And the calculation for 5 decades was that disclosing Project Mogul was less preferable than letting the incomplete explanation stand. Was the weather balloon explanation accurate or simplified? Here's where it gets complicated. The Project Mogul explanation is coherent, internally consistent, accounts for unusual debris without requiring anything beyond classified 1940s balloon technology. It may be exactly right, but it is also the third official explanation for the same event, offered under congressional pressure, 47 years after the fact. This either means the government responsibly protected a classified program until it was safe to disclose, or it means the official account was managed in stages on a schedule set by institutional interest rather than the public's access to facts. Both explanations make sense, but not at the same time. This is where people start to question it. We have seen this exact pattern on this channel before: Gulf of Tonkin, where the explanation evolved under scrutiny; Pentagon Papers, where private assessments ran parallel to public ones for years; MK Ultra, where the full picture emerged only after accidental discovery. In each case, the issue was not that the official explanation was necessarily wrong. The issue was that it was managed, released in stages, on someone else's timeline, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. The Project Mogul explanation came in response to a congressional inquiry. It was not volunteered. The people holding the complete explanation had watched the incomplete one generate decades of public confusion and made a sustained calculation that disclosure was less preferable than silence for 50 years. And the question that creates is not whether Mogul is true. The question is, what standard of confidence do you apply to a statement when the institution making it has a documented history of providing incomplete statements on this exact topic? Does a delayed explanation increase your trust or reduce it? You can land on either side, and where you land says something about how you read official accounts in general, not just this one, because here's the reframe. Roswell is remembered as a UFO story. It has been treated that way in popular culture for over 70 years. The documented story is something more specific. A military press release used precise language. It was retracted by higher command within hours. A replacement explanation was given. That explanation lasted nearly 50 years. Then a third explanation appeared under pressure, describing something classified the entire time. 3 explanations, each one presented as definitive when it was offered. Each one replaced. The pattern is not about what crashed. The pattern is about how information gets introduced, simplified, and revised on a schedule that the public does not control. And that pattern does not require a single unusual fact to be worth examining. So here is the question worth sitting with. If the official explanation for an event changes 3 times over 50 years, with each version presented as definitive, and each revision arriving only under external pressure rather than voluntary disclosure, at what point does the explanation itself become the thing that needs explaining? And how would you even know when it stopped changing? Tell me in the comments which version you believe, because the answer says more about how you process official information than it does about New Mexico in 1947.